So we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. The time reads 6:01. Board members present. There are 7 of them. And myself, Sal, Serena, Steve Longo, Jamie, Nicole, and Michelle. And then the interpreters are also here. And Alex, thank you for serving as our moderator this evening, and also to our CDIs who are also here. So the agenda will come up. We will share it briefly. Take a look at it. It won't be shown for very long because it blocks visibility. So it will be up and then be taken back down. So I will share the approved agenda. I will make you a co-host and you'll be able to share. Just a moment. Please look through the agenda really quick. Serena, yes, your hand's raised. So there's a misspelling on there. Plaque needs to be spelled P-L-A-Q-U-E. Back to Tricia. We have edited it to be a Q rather than a G. That is due to my aging eyes. The G and the Q look similar in type, so. And yes, it is also a word. But I think I'm going to have to break down Tricia's saying and get bifocals. I think we're there. Okay, thank you. Any other notes about the agenda, or do we move to approve it?
Steve, I move to approve.
Jessica? Okay. We will, in light of timing, go ahead and keep moving. So I noticed the date is incorrect, so there will be another edit. Instead of October, it should instead read December. Okay, so the month has been edited to read the December board minutes. Do we approve the agenda? Looking at number 4 and thinking about time, there's some important content to discuss today. We're switching interpreters. We're just letting the participants get the new interpreter set.
Nikki, can you see Rosemary?
Yes. She's talking to Nicole Hurt.
I'm sorry.
Or Bruno. That's okay. Tricia's saying we wanted to wait and make sure that everyone could see the communication. So now that we've confirmed that all can see, I have a very short president's report. I will keep it brief. It just disappeared on me. 1 second. I have quite a few windows open, so give me just a moment to orient myself here. I wanted to say welcome to 2021. It is a new year and it's already proved crazy just getting started. Seeing what had happened at the US Capitol this week, or this last week, we're in a serious situation here. We as a board really want to ensure that our bylaws and our strategic plans are in place, that we have our mission and our vision statements for DHHSC. And we'll talk about that more. I'm not going to be the only one discussing that. That'll be a team effort. I did get some difficult personal news. Someone I've known since I was very young has passed, and it's been a challenge. And I want to talk about the plaque, and I'll spell that correctly, not a G, but a Q, but want to discuss about the plaque that we would like to do in honor of this employee, a very long time DHHSC employee. And we, as a board, would like to use some of our funds to be able to donate to DHHSC. We want to, well, the family also wants to recognize his hard work. So it's a new year. There will be new things. Some things come to an end. We would like to get our goals outlined for the year for the board. And that's pretty much it for my president's report. Sweet, short and sweet. I will turn it over to the vice president for your report. Salvador.
Hello. For the vice president's report, I will also keep it short. It has I've recently began serving in the capacity as vice president. I'm very grateful to be working with all of you. Please be patient as I learn your system. And I want to reiterate the president's report. We are working closely together to try and complete the tasks and goals that we have outlined before us. I do also want to clarify that I am here to support all of you as board members. And the item under new business is something I'm very much looking forward to, but I do know that there are items under old business that need to be wrapped up soon, and I'm ready to move forward with that.
This is Tricia. Thank you. Looking to the secretary, Serena, do you have a secretary's report?
No report this month. I simply want to say Happy New Year's.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, yes.
And now we will turn to the treasurer's report. Steve Longo, do you want to you go ahead and do that. So again, we will share that momentarily, just so that you can view that. It will be less than a minute. December 30th or December 3rd, interpreter clarification.
There's a bit of a delay, Steve Longo is saying, but. And before we begin, we do want to recognize the tremendous work that Paul has done for us. It had always been a seamless process. It's been a great journey working with him. He's had much to share in leading me in this process, down to the penny. We would get that balance down to zero. We would use all of those funds. And as Michelle said, you know, just absolutely to that very last day, June 30th, he would ensure that the financials were exactly as they needed to be and totals added up precisely. He made sure that we left nothing in the pot, and we will definitely miss him, and we'll miss his wit and his humor. And it's very hard to imagine moving forward without him. Want to recognize that. In looking at the report, you will notice there are still some outstanding payments to be received, $392,953.01 that we are still waiting to receive payment for from grants, from interpreting, etc. So we're waiting on those monies to be received. So just keep that in mind, that is still there. 392,000 approximately is on hold. We're waiting to receive those funds. What we have now is just 6 months so far into the fiscal year. And in that 6 months, you can see that we have spent $468,692.11. And that leaves us with a balance that we will have to use until June 30th of $593,318.89. So also keep that in mind. That's what we'll be looking to use towards events, and make sure that we use that up before that June 30th deadline. And we'll make sure that we make that happen. So just a couple of thoughts to keep in mind. Any questions related to the financial report?
Michelle.
So she was asking, do we ask the community? Tricia was saying we'll ask them last. Yeah.
My concern is 392,000 is a fairly large chunk of money. Is there anything we can do to encourage that revenue to come in, or people know they are aware and it is still just taking extra time in order to collect that revenue?
This is Michelle. Yes, part of it is due to COVID. And then there is also, with Paul being gone and a new CPA having to study the CDSS quarter and budget amendments and everything. And so he will be working on November and December to get everything caught up. Paul had finished the October, but not yet November and December, and CDDS sent it back to us. And so we have to go back and make some fixes. Once that is approved, then we can look at November and December. And yes, COVID has affected businesses. We are sending letters. We are asking and begging for those payments. And but yes, part of it is COVID and part of it is getting caught up in our financial department.
And for some of the debt, do you feel like it's just been too long? I know some of it may be a reasonable extension of time.
We feel it's very reasonable at this time. We're starting to get more and I'm sure we will get closer to the end of the fiscal year, people will hurry to get their funds used and close books. And so we probably will see that as we get closer to June. We will start to see more of that coming in.
Okay, it would be nice if you can let us know if this is still dragging on. There may be something that we can do, some sort of precedent. We can set up something to support you as an agency.
Thank you.
And now I will turn it to Michelle for the Executive Director's report.
This is Michelle. First, I want to say, please be patient with us. There are a lot of changes with Paul's passing within the agency. Paul knew the agency inside and out. He knew everything about accounting. He had worked for us for 30 years. And so the loss of Paul plus the CPA, Jerabu, still learning our system, and then CDSS being more complicated. Our CPA is continuing to try and learn, and we're working very closely with him. Paul trusted Jabu, and so when he was in the hospital, there was already discussions about Jabu working, and we started to get through things, and didn't get through everything. And so there will be some bumps in the road, and we hope to get to a smooth road here very soon. Yes, he's a certified CPA, but he has to learn our system. So we ask for patience. And we also got in touch with NorCal CPA because they are obviously quite experienced with CDSS. And so we were able to put him in connection with them about CDSS invoices. And so there'd also, go ahead, Pam.
They were involved with the training of Michael Mitchner as well, so very familiar with the process.
We are now reapplying for a combined federal campaign with the FCC for January 31st, and that's a federal level, and state has said that there is a promise that things will be finished, but without Paul being there, I will ask for some help with some financial details until we get through that. The United Way to Larry grant. Thank you all for your work on the vision and mission statements and the strategic goals. And when you approve that tonight, it'll be submitted hopefully tomorrow. So thank you very much for your help there. With SERVE, the emergency grant, it completed in December, but has actually been extended through February and March because of funds availability. So we're excited about that, and the grant will continue. And then the COVID grant, our community is just not interested. We had 2 staff reaching out to folks wanting to provide education and outreach, and got very little response through phone calls, texts, emails, etc. So we're going to change our involvement with the community. Remember, it was a partnership with various CBOs in the Central Valley, and the project was called Disability Equity Project, working with CVRC, Valley Center for the Blind, RVC, thank you, RICV, and we will continue to provide interpreting and latent interpreting media, which is needed, but that would be on an as-needed basis. So we don't want to not use the money, but we will use that where we can as needed. Central California Women's Conference funds were done in December. We used that for the art workshop for women and children. There were no new funds, unfortunately, for that. It is an annual application, and Susan will host the art workshop, and the women and children loved it, but with COVID, the monies are not available, and we're disappointed, and Susan had done a wonderful job in all of her efforts. We want to say thank you to Susan for that. In terms of DOR, we are still going through the recertification process, and that's what started September of last year. With DOR and EDD partnering, there will be a focus more on a partnership and using EDD, but DOR will help pay for interpreting services for the community as needed for our clients. An example would be EDD focuses on the first 30 days they provide interpreting, and then DOR would take the next 90 days. So it's a great benefit for the clients because it means more interpreting services for them, and it helps with their job placement. It's 120 days instead of 90. So we're just waiting for that recertification process because there's something that has come up. The Salinas office being so far, our EDD staff can't go there as often because it is so far. And in Salinas, they want to keep their DOR services there. So that would mean there's a separate certification process for them than for the Fresno, Merced, and Visalia offices. And Salinas would have their own. So we're working through that. We're making our way. It's nice to know that they want to keep and continue DOR there. Two last things, agency audit, with June being the end of the fiscal year. So we typically start that audit in August, but because of COVID and working remote, it's taking much longer. So we'll finish that next week, which will mean at the next board meeting, we will be inviting the auditor to join and give the presentation and an update. And we want to make sure we are on time with that. And lastly, I just wanted to say the Martha's Vineyard event will have to be virtual, probably through Zoom, and we'll get together soon to talk about what that's going to look like. And once there are some decisions made and some details, we'll have a flyer and vlog, and we will recruit your help, of course. So watch for that email as we ask for your help. It will be something different. As our spring fundraiser, it will probably happen in April or May. So we'll just figure out the name and the focus and the programs. And of course, we will look forward to having your support. But first of all, I want to say thank you in your support that you have provided historically. Craig wants us to work with them to set up a memorial service for Paul. And they want it in person instead of Zoom, but we want to do it when it's safe to gather again. So it's going to be sometime in the future. When we have details ready, we'll let you know. DHHSC and the family will host a memorial. Former staff will be invited, current staff will be invited, and it'll be a way to honor Paul for his infamous peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Always had those for lunch, as we all know. And his brother wants everyone at the memorial service to have mini peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and a banana or an apple, since that was definitely Paul's go-to for lunch. So we want to honor him in that way, which I think is great. We will keep you all posted as those details come out. But we sincerely miss Paul and are heartbroken. He's a wonderful man, worked for us for 30 years, and we really want to recognize and celebrate his 30 years rather than his death. So we will work together and let everyone know about the memorial services, and that's it from me.
Thank you. Please, note that we will have the auditor invited at our next meeting, and we want to ensure that we don't lose track of that, and the invitation is sent to our auditor. So thank you for that reminder, and thank you for all that you shared. It seems like there's so much happening already and so much going on, even with the year just beginning. But I think if we take things one thing at a time, we will move forward. And I do want to move forward a little quickly because I do want to make sure we have time to discuss the items in unfinished business. There is no fundraising report tonight. It is our hope to have someone who is willing to participate and serve in that capacity as our fundraising chair. So we'll skip item number 9, looking at item number 10, the general board comments. I'd like to give you just 2 minutes, please, if there's anything you would like to share as a part of general board comments on the agenda. Nicole.
This is Nicole. I'm just wondering about Paul. When the plaque is up, can you let us know that it's up and where it has been placed?
Yes, we have discussed that, and we will have more discussion of that under new business.
Okay, thanks.
Any other general board comments? Not seeing any. I think I will move to unfinished business. There are 4 items. And since the 2 are short, the mission and the vision statement, maybe we will focus on those 2 first, and then we'll move forward to the strategic plan and the bylaws. I'm wondering, Sal, if you can share briefly. Sal, if you would mind going ahead with that discussion.
Sure.
Nikki, are you okay with doing Sal?
I think so, yeah.
If you want me to, I will.
I think I'm good.
Okay. Teamwork.
Can everyone see it? Sal's asking. Trisha's asking, Michelle, is that the right one? Everyone moved. Oh, and they moved again. Okay.
I don't see Trisha.
Trisha's not saying anything right now. Sal is talking.
Yeah, Sal's like, can everyone see it? Michelle's saying it's different. Trisha, do you want me to keep going while sharing or take it down? Okay, I'll take it down. 1 second.
Is that the most recent one?
Michelle's saying yes. Sal's saying, okay. For the mission statement, it's written out there to advocate and seek equality and promote self-determination through empowerment for those who seek our assistance, and to enhance the awareness of and understanding of deaf culture and the unique communication needs of the deaf and hard of hearing individuals. I suggest, and Trisha too, that we add a video here just to show that we are supportive of the bilingual approach for the community and the board, just to have those, both the English and the signed versions available. And moving to the vision statement, it reads, well, we had gone through it. We had added the word unforeseen, because obviously with COVID just seeming to never end, bless you, just knowing that COVID has caused us to rethink many things in terms of what verbiage we use. So instead of being committed, you know, hard and fast to that 5 years, adding the word unforeseen. That way, we're allowed to adapt as we go and modify as needed. in order to accommodate the community's needs based on what is happening, as well as board and staff needs during difficult times, because it's just, with a new president coming soon, on top of everything else, we just want to recognize that we will be adaptive and we will modify in order to support DHHSC and the community. We made a couple of additions. We will seek more stable funding sources, develop our staff skill, work on public relations, PR. We will look at technology usage of blogs, creating greater accessibility. So that's pretty much the review of our mission and vision statements.
Looking at that, would like to have a motion to vote and approve these as our mission and vision statements. I can't
Sal's
make the
asking,
motion.
did I sign
Need
it?
that to come from the board.
Serena?
I will move that we adopt and approve the mission and vision statements as suggested and read. Do we have a second?
This is Jamie, I second.
Jamie seconds.
I approve both of them, yes.
Okay. Nicole, did you want to share? Nicole?
Yes. I know we had talked about having groups under DHHSC, like we have the senior citizens group, deaf blind support group. I can't spell the acronym, the LGBTQ community. Do we want to add something to acknowledge that in these statements? Or do we incorporate that as part of the deaf and hard of hearing community?
Serena, I recognize you. Typically, with the mission and the vision statements, they are designed to be general. The strategic plan is where we outline the details. And so typically, the details and the changes will come with the strategic plan. That the vision and the mission statement typically stay established. It is not changed or edited. With other nonprofits that I'm involved with, that has been my exposure and experience.
Okay, this is Nicole. I'm still new, so I just wanted to ask and make sure I would be in agreement with the team.
And back to Tricia, one word that we may, well, maybe two words that we may need to revise. I think good suggestion where we talk about the Central Valley, maybe we should say Central California, because there are other agencies involved, not just the Central Valley. So maybe it would be better stated to change Central Valley to Central California.
This is Sal. I can change it to read Central California versus Central Valley.
Yes, Valley to California. I think that would have a broader reach.
Okay. Central of California?
Simply Central California.
Okay. Okay. This is Sal. So now we'll go on to the next one.
And this is Tricia. Okay, have you changed that verbiage? We do need to go ahead and vote to approve this mission and vision statement. So all those in favor? looking at everyone that I can see. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Okay, now the heavier content, the strategic plan, which is quite detailed and will entail a lot of discussion. I am trying to best determine how to proceed with that. Do any of you have any suggestions? I believe we have 6 or 7.
This is Serena. Is there anything that you feel really needs to be discussed right now? Like, is there anything from working through the preparations or discussions thus far, stuff that we could discuss later versus what we want to cover right now?
This is Michelle. It has to be discussed and approved tonight because this will be included in our application for the United Way Tulare County goals. We have to indicate what our goals are, our strategic plan. All of this needs to be done tonight. One moment for me, please.
I don't know
One
what we're
moment.
talking about. There's a discussion about a code and taking a picture and sending it, and Sal's saying you can send it after the meeting. For the code of ethics, rather, the code of ethics document that was talked about earlier, but we can talk about that after the meeting, no problem.
If we can hold, yes, the code of ethics document is a separate issue. The strategic plan is something that we have newly developed, and that is in Google Docs, and it is rather lengthy. What I would like to do, Michelle, if you would not mind sharing those items and talk about the goals, each of them, so that we can discuss those afterwards, maybe one by one. We have 20 minutes. And this is Serena. I have one additional question.
So if we vote and we approve the strategic plan tonight, does that mean that we cannot change it?
No, it can be changed. It can be edited, but
Okay.
we do need approval, a basic approval for the grant application purpose, which is very important. So we need to approve this as new. We can make minor changes. I think if we were to make major changes, that might be concerning to some. Steve Longo?
Yeah, I think what Serena was talking about, I think her question makes sense. I think we can approve it as it stands, and if we need to make those updates or minor changes in the future, we can. I don't think we have to worry too greatly about it. I think it's important that we have it so we can get the grant monies coming, and if we need to make those minor tweaks later, we can do that.
Okay. Nicole, I recognize you.
Thank you. This is Nicole. In keeping with the time, I know that we're very limited. I agree if there are small changes, they can be edited later. And the big ones would be what we'd want to discuss, but.
So what I would like to do is give the floor to Michelle to review each of those items, if you would do so. And Michelle is saying, if it's okay with Sal, I don't have it in front of you. Sal, do you have it in front of you?
He's saying, yes, I do. I'm happy to go through each point and then let you elaborate on them. Trisha's saying
And
we
again,
just go over
just
the main
the
points.
main points, not the sub points or the smaller points.
Sal's saying, okay, so the DHHSC strategic plan would be 2021 to 2025. And there are 7 main points. The first one is to provide a system of advocacy and training for first responders and other law enforcement, such as fire departments, hospitals, etc. Also include social services. Number 2, increase awareness of deaf and hard of hearing individuals in the Valley in order to improve the public relation efforts, whether that be media, on the internet, etc. Number 3, provide more activity-oriented events and broad support for deaf and hard of hearing special interest groups. Special interest groups being defined as deaf, blind, senior citizen, LGBTQ+, deaf people of color, CODAs, both with CODA spelled with a C and KODA spelled with a K. Also, deaf and hard of hearing youth and their families, Deaf Plus, and more. Number 4, provide services for young children of deaf adults, also called CODAs with a K. Number 5, engage in active mentoring and education for higher education institutions in providing appropriate services. Number 6, improve network infrastructure and upgrade virtual services for the 21st century. Number 7, last one, is to improve various fundraising venues with a planned focus on specific programs with a higher need of service and agency stability. And that would close the strategic plan for 2021.
Thank you, Sal, from both Michelle and Trisha. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Back to Trisha. The floor is now open for discussion of those 7 strategic points, strategic plan points. Steve.
Yes, there was mention in here in number 2, developing an extra page on DHHSC to include the board. I don't think email access needs to be added there. I think we can add that on our own later, and can be done outside of here. I don't want people to get, I don't want that access to be available on the web. I think having people get that kind of access is the last thing we need.
And in reality, the board has their own email separate from these emails. And the purpose of this would be to have separate emails such as president at, treasurer at. And in that way, that particular email address can be passed on to future board officers and members of the board. And so that when someone takes over that position, they will be aware of what is happening and what has happened for the agency. In terms of the general board, we can have general board at. We just need to set up an account specifically designated for those people serving on the board, because we do want to be accessed by the community. They need to be able to access us. And having a board email is a more professional way to resolve that concern. And it also helps to reflect the agency in a better light and gives the agency greater opportunity to obtain grants and funding. So we want to follow that protocol.
Okay. The reason I ask is that just in reading it, it seems a bit confusing. It will give the board access. There will be professional headshots. I kind of feel like, I don't know, the email is separate from wanting to have the web page and access on there. So I think it's just wording maybe.
Okay, so with those 7 main strategic points, yes, Nicole? I don't know with the word IT, but what I am thinking for board access, making greater connections with the offices in our area. For example, I work with the Visalia office. Another individual may work more closely with the Fresno office, the Monterey office, the Salinas office, Merced office, in order to have a board member designated to focus on interactions with a designated outreach office or the main office here at DHHSC.
And Trish is asking, where would we put that?
Well, you had mentioned accessibility for the board, so I am thinking that just having it be general could be improved by having specific board members designated to specific offices in terms of follow-up and communication with our separate offices.
This is Trisha. Yeah, that would be number 2. Improving communication with other sister agencies. Yes, that would be part of number 2 for sure.
Yes.
This is Trisha. Alex, I saw your hand, and then Michelle. Alex.
Jessica, I believe she had a hand raised. Jessica did.
Yes, hello. Hi, so hi, yeah, I've been working and driving around with my kids, so I'm listening and I'm very honored, and I'm so sorry for Paul's passing as well. But I just wanted to say, from the social media aspect, I would like to be more active in that, and the fundraising. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I heard what you guys said too about the media. I think what we need to do is connect more with the social media outlets like ABC 30, KC 24, Univision, that's the Spanish station. My brother has good connections with them, and I think we need to really, the LGBT, of course, I've always been interested in that. And also I'm partnering with the Alzheimer's Association. They're going to have a fundraiser next month because it's Caretakers Awareness Month. So I think it'd be great for us to focus on the parents with children who are deaf or hard of hearing. Throughout this time with the Zoom meetings, it's been very hard on me as a mother. They have not accommodated the children who have a hearing loss to understand that it's hard for them to hear other students and the teacher throughout the Zoom meetings. So I would like to raise awareness and support that aspect, especially the LGBT community, because I have partnered with the Source here in Visalia, and also because I'm a chamber member with the Hispanic Chamber. I know that they will support you as well to bring more awareness and to help you when it comes to media and fundraising. So that's what I have to say.
This is Trisha. Just one moment. Michelle, and we'll come back to you, Steve. So Michelle, and we have 9 minutes left.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, I simply wanted to comment on Nicole's comment. Remember, we do have an advisory council, and the advisory council is set up to provide the board feedback as it relates to the specific outreach offices and share that to the board. So just as a reminder, we do have that set up essentially in our system with our advisory council.
This is Nicole. Great. Here where I am, I'm not familiar with the advisory council, but I think that's a great connection. Thank you.
And from Tricia, giving the floor to Steve.
Yes, Jessica, in looking at number 2 of the strategic plan and talking about social media and PR, raising awareness there, I do believe that what you're talking about is supported there, and maybe we could add some verbiage, specifically outlining social media,
Yes.
possibly. Okay, cool. Jessica, sound good to you?
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. That was it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And back to Tricia, I do want to speak briefly before I turn the floor to Nicole. Working to raise the number of community partnerships through media and social media. Maybe we can put that phraseology in there, recognizing what Jessica has just brought to light. Nicole, this will need to be our last comment before we take a vote.
Okay, sorry. I just want to make sure I understand what we're adding, but what you just said did just that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Sal?
Yeah. I move that we approve the strategic plan.
We will close the discussion.
Okay. So I move that we close the discussion. I do move that we close the discussion on the strategic plan for 2021 to 2025.
And do we have a second? Steve, seconds. And we will call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the DHHSC strategic plan as written, with the understanding that there may be future minor edits. I think it is important to note that. So if we could have a motion relating to what I just stated.
He's saying, wait a minute, say that and maybe.
I need someone to make a motion outlining what I just stated.
This is Steve. I move that we accept the strategic plan for 2021 to 2025 as written, with the potential for future edits in the near future.
Minor edits?
Minor future edits in the future.
We need a second.
Sal says I second it.
Sal seconds it. And I will call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the DHHSC strategic plan as motioned? I need an indication. Jessica as well?
Yes.
Thank you, Jessica. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that motion is approved. So Michelle, you can include that with that grant tomorrow.
Michelle saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, while I do my happy dance over here.
And because we have only 5 minutes left, unfortunately, let me take a look. One moment. One moment, I'm sorry, I lost the agenda.
Steve saying bylaws is the next item.
The bylaws, my honest proposal is that we have a separate board meeting to handle that. potentially on the weekend because so many of us are working and have conflicts during the week. I would suggest sometime within the next 2 weeks to have a weekend meeting to thoroughly go through the bylaws. And I would recommend up the 2 weeks to make sure we have interpreters scheduled and everyone can participate, and that we schedule that as an emergency meeting if we would be in agreement.
This is Steve. There's one possibility in looking at the bylaws. If we just look at what is changed in red, since we've reviewed everything else, if we could vote to accept them as read, that's something we could do tonight. But if we really feel like we need additional revisions, we can put that off to another meeting.
I think there are several changes that needed to be added.
Okay.
This is Trish, with the new Robert's Rules of Order. And there is a newer edited version, so we want to be compliant with that. I just discovered that. So I think we need to set that up.
Steve saying, okay, all of the revisions, I'm just thinking of grant monies because
No.
they haven't been approved yet. That's why I was wanting to make those changes and do that in coinciding with the grant needs. So the honorary members and such, there's some verbiage there that needed to be changed and has been changed.
Sal?
I propose, due to timing, that we move this to an emergency meeting for the board in order to get through them.
Maybe a shorter meeting, Steve is indicating? Within 2 weeks?
Sal's saying yes, within 2 weeks.
Michelle? Are you okay with that?
I mean, if you can get it done as soon as possible, the sooner the better. Thank you. Yeah.
Jamie?
Yes, you were saying I'm not going to be able, I work 9 to 1 on the weekends. So I just wanted to say that, okay, it'll be in the evening. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then on my hand up. After 7 p.m. would be good for me.
This is Nicole. When we can kind of figure out what day, then we can talk about the time later, or do you want to do that now?
Trisha's saying yes later.
And Tricia has noted after 7.
After 7 on the weekend.
Okay.
So we'll determine a date via email. This is Tricia, maybe through GroupMe. I actually prefer that. We can determine a date via GroupMe.
Michelle? Oh, sorry. I just want to confirm that once you have it confirmed, let Kim know as soon as possible so we can get that interpreting request in.
Will do. And back to Tricia. Under new business, I think we will hold that off until the next meeting. We should have time and we can plan accordingly. I do want to open it up for any public comments. Alex, did you see anything?
Nope. Didn't see any.
Okay, seeing none. The dust is moving on. Any announcements? All right. One small announcement for all of you that I have. We can do this. We can do it together. We are a team, and it is much easier for a team to achieve things together than an individual to do them alone. We can do this as a team. This is a beautiful thing. I will be in touch regarding setting up a date and time for our emergency meeting. As it relates to the bylaws, we'll take one last comment from Nicole before we close.
I just wanted to say thank you for all coming to the meeting and having these discussions. I really appreciate and value the interpreters being here, making this all possible. So just thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. And
Me too.
Jessica, did you want to add anything else before we close?
I just want to say thank you to the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Service Center for making me stronger as a mother. And I'm very excited to be supporting you. And even if I'm busy and working and have kids, I'm always going to be here for you guys.
Thank you.
And I do want to